Hello and welcome to this month's edition of the Whisky Investment Podcast by VCL Vintners. I'm Alwynne Gwilt, whisky journalist, and this month I'm joined by Pete Allison, who's the whisky maker at Woven. Now, if you've not heard of this brand, well, get ready because this is a super exciting intro into this revolutionary whisky brand. They're changing things up in the world of whisky, and I'm very excited to be joined by Pete today. Pete, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very excited.
I'm very excited to have you here. I absolutely adore Woven and everything you guys have been standing for. You know, people out there who maybe haven't come across you. Can you talk a little bit more about who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So Woven, I mean, we're a blended whiskey company based up in Leith in Edinburgh, the historic port of blended whiskey. It's where all single malts would come in, all the grain would come in and get blended and put out onto ships to go around the world. And we're sort of bringing that old artistry and new thinking back into to blended whiskey. So we've been going since 2021, a bit of a lockdown project that's got out of hand. And we're now selling it in multiple countries and in the UK and going pretty well.
That's super exciting. You have also been involved in whiskey for a long time, not just since 2021. So how did you get into the whiskey industry and what's your background?
Yeah, I mean, my background is not in whiskey making, for sure. So I guess that I take a bit of an atypical route into it, but very much enjoying it now, which is nice. But I started off out of school working in bars. I was very lucky because I was part of sort of this Edinburgh bar scene, mid-2000s, that had some incredible people in it. Ryan and Jamie Mack, and lots of people that are now quite well regarded, and I was definitely holding on to their shirt tails. But I was lucky because it was at that time that whiskey brands started to engage and invest in the on-trade and the bar communities. Yeah. And so I learned an awful lot quite early on, and I started to think about this industry not as just a hobby to get to the next thing in life, but as something that I was really interested and excited about, and flavour and the commercials of it as well. And so went to university and then got a job working for a beer company which is called Innis & Gunn up in Edinburgh, being a sort of a jack of all trades, small team, startup company, learning the ropes across multidiscipline before going to a sherry company called Gonzalez Bias, which is Tio Pepe and kind of the OG and big dog in sherry, and I was responsible for their spirits program, so working across whiskies and sherry as well as their brandies as well, and then took a role working in the Middle East and Africa for the Macallan and doing their advocacy and their high value single bottle sales. So quite a very different shift.
World. You think about that shift from Innis & Gunn to Macallan in the Middle East, that is like a big
big shift, change. Very different conversations, but real eye opener for sort of what the perception of whiskey can be, sort of from every level, where Gonzalez Bias was sort of this incredible journey and understanding of the back end cask trading, like physical empty cask trading into whiskey, through to sort of single bottle sales that were incredibly valuable, and every single bottle was taken as its own project to sell. And then I ended up at a company called Atom Brands. Master of Malt is sort of the forward-facing area of that, and then I was working in their American business unit, so integrating that boutique whiskey company, Bathtub Gin, and their brands into the USA with a small team before we started Woven, and it's definitely not just me. I've got two business partners, Duncan McRae and Nick Ravenhall. Duncan, similar path, Edinburgh bartender, went into the trade, worked for a long time with William Grant and Sons, building up their Hendrick's gin brand. But as a marketing brain, and I can really say this, I've never met anybody like him. He understands nuances and trends and the category before and beyond anybody they've ever met, which is incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
And Nick Ravenhall has also this most incredible brain around commercials, around business management, around structuring a business to grow and scale. And so my intention and my ambition and my sort of starting point and end point is to really kind of understand what Duncan sees and to create it in a way that Nick needs.
From the commercial perspective, yeah. So really that.
And that's sort of how I fit into it. And I ended up sort of being that position between the two arms to say, well, I'll try and put it together. And that's kind of where it started. And now, you know, I take a lot of pride and love in the whiskies that we make, and I'm responsible sort of for all things liquid inside the bottle.
So as a blending company, for those listeners maybe out there who don't maybe have as much insight into what you do, you're effectively sourcing liquid from third parties. You're bringing that liquid in, I'm assuming, to the studio or the offices in Leith in Edinburgh. And then you're effectively, I guess, painting a picture with the liquid that you get. Yeah,
I mean, I love that analogy because that's kind of how I think about it as well, right? I mean, we... As a business, we source aged stock, so we're not buying new make and laying it down. We might do one day, but not yet. And we buy from sort of three entities, three levels, three categories. Of suppliers. So your large multi-distillery owner that we're able to buy parcels of stock that are relatively standardized. So, if I'm looking for a 8-year-old Speyside that's, has a grassy structure to it, then I know that I can buy X from that, and it's going to be much the same every time I buy it. And then we buy from independent distillers, so those ones who really have a sense of place and a story to tell and a unique characteristic that we want to sort of showcase in a whiskey, and we love to be able to tell their story through our blends. And then the third entity would be cask brokers, so holders of multiple casks, perhaps more interesting or a certain characteristic that we can't get from the distillery or from the multinational. And those are the ones sort of that we call sort of our salt and pepper whiskies. We receive them into our blending lab. It's a tiny little lab in Leith, in an old biscuit factory that we've been there since day one, and it's cheap rent, and and we've kind of made it our space, which is lovely. And we put together the whiskies, and the idea is to be able to build up a repertoire and a bank of samples and casks that we own, so we're able to have almost like a full color palette, a full spectrum of color. If you think about each distillery being a pigment, and they work so hard to make the most beautiful blue or the most beautiful red or whatever it is.
That's a real focus.
And what our job is to do is to be able to take those whiskies, to take those colours and be able to paint them together to create something greater than the sum of their parts. And our model is that we work third party, so we don't own a warehouse. We rent a corner of somebody else's warehouse, and so as we build up the proprietary blends and the small blends in the lab, we then scale it up a bit to understand how that works, and then we go into a full run production.
And you've explored some super interesting countries. So we're not just talking about Scotland, which I think is where Woven really makes it stand out on the market. What other countries have you been working with, and what's been some of the most interesting?
I don't know how everybody feels about this, but I'm really passionate about a single statement, which is that every country that drinks whiskey now makes whiskey. And you get incredible flavors, profiles, people, philosophies, ideas, ingredients coming from the most amazing places. And we've been really lucky to be able to sort of source and taste and then buy and blend whiskies from those incredible places. So at the beginning of last year, January 2024, I was in a whiskey festival in the west coast of Norway in a city called Bergen.
Yep.
Cold and icy, lots of snow.
Perfect for whiskey.
Perfect for whiskey. And I had heard about Nordic whiskies being a thing, but I suppose like many people, I didn't quite know what that meant.
Yeah, that's a statement, but what makes them
exactly.
a style?
Nordic whiskies are cool, so I was like,
okay,
that's
off
fine.
I go to Bergen.
Well, I mean, I was lucky to go there because of Woven, right?
Yeah.
But I took the opportunity to go and visit a distillery called Fedi on a small island. It used to be an ex-whaling community. Now there's about 500 inhabitants. A distillery founded by the mayor of the island, and 1,500 women from around the world are investors.
Incredible. Fully female-funded distillery, world's first. Yeah, it's great.
And when I went there, one, the place was just unreal. But two, you start to understand the challenges that they have. Ice flows. They can't access their island for like 3 months of the year.
Wow.
Their water source, which is bored into the island, gets waterlogged by seawater every couple of weeks. And so how that translates into the whiskey is that it's a whiskey built by adversity.
Yeah.
And what comes out is this incredibly saline, briny style of whiskey that I thought was just unreal and beautiful and stunning. So I came back from that festival with sort of a handful of whiskey samples from all sorts of different distilleries, and I was like, we got to do something here, right? And then June last year, Nick and I went out to Fedi again, but also to Kura Distillery in Finland, rye distillery that uses Finnish rye, which is hardy, sort of much more bready and jammy than sort of spicy American rye. We went up to the north of Sweden to High Coast Distillery, where the temperature fluctuations between summer and winter is like a 50-degree Celsius shift, and so you get this incredible interaction between the wood and the spirit that creates the most vanilla forward kind of clear, beautiful, great whiskey. And then to Agitator Distillery in Sweden as well, where they work with the guys from Saab Aeronautical to be able to sort of engineer and kind of create the most technically perfect whiskey and combine them together into a product that we called Friends in the North. And it was about telling the story of those people and the processes and everything together. And although I thought we were going to find a red thread of flavour that runs between all these Nordic distilleries, spoiler, we didn't. But what we did find was that there was a similarity in their perspectives and their philosophies and how
their approach to whiskey making and
and I loved that.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing.
Then we've recently made a whiskey, the first all English whiskey blend called Pastures New. We did about 700 bottles of it, and it was the most beautiful thing to be able to make, and I feel so lucky, genuinely lucky, to be able to have done it, because English whiskey, I think, has this wonderful moment right now that's going on, and craftsmanship. Think about England as a country of craft, and you have artists, designers, furniture makers, everything, and beer and ciders and
now wines,
and
a lot
wines,
of wines. We got everything now here in England,
and I love it, and being able to sort of speak to these people who have so much ability and passion and resource as well, because they've got, of course, English grain, which is lovely, stunning, and so So we were up in Yorkshire with the guys at White Peak and Cooper King.
White Peak, great distillery. Been on the
so
podcast
cool.
a long while back when they were just launching, and it's been great to see how they've
love them.
Grown
Max
over the last few years.
So
Max,
cool.
Fantastic. I know.
Got such a business crush on them. But, Cooper King, which is, this kind of Australian Tasmanian style of whiskey coming into England, and that's just wonderful. They have something called dark fired bourbon barrels where we're actually smoking the inside of the bourbon barrel to impart a little bit of smoke. Stunning.
Fascinating.
Cotswolds Distillery, which we've talked about.
Yeah,
and
one of my absolute all-time favorites. Yeah,
right. And their ability to extract so much flavour and character at a young age is just unreal.
Yeah.
Copper Rivet.
Yeah. Who we just chatted recently with Abby from Copper Rivet on the podcast. So again, as you see, it's just... He's a
visionary.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Incredibly passionate about that technical side and developing it right from the get-go. So as you say, there's so much going on in English whiskey. So it must have been a super exciting project, as you said, to kind of bring together and showcase.
And then the two grain elements that we brought in as well. Think about all of those as malt distilleries, but then we had Fielden, right?
Yeah.
Who is a grain distillery, and it's natural rye plus other grain from their fields, and their sort of funky, weird, and beautiful, sort of almost intoxicating flavor profile is kind of what the blend was centered around, and then the structure and the body from all of it comes actually from Adnams Distillery. Adnams, of course, huge powerhouse in brewing. I have been told, and I can't remember how old they are, but some generations of brewing and understanding, and that Suffolk, Norfolk region where they grow all of their grain. That knowledge and understanding comes into their grain whiskey, and it's their tri-grain that has wheat, oats, and barley. Just incredible. So it was exciting to be able to use these flavors and profiles that I've never worked before, and I feel so wonderfully lucky to be able to be a blender, because it is the most creative aspect you can do in whiskey.
Yes. Yeah.
Distilling is science meets art, and it's incredibly technical, and you have to hone down your understanding of your equipment and your ingredients to be able to then put it into a cask and hope.
Yeah.
Right? And that is too scary for me, and I don't know enough about yeast, honestly. But being able to take these incredible ingredients and put them together is a real... I feel so lucky, and it's great. It's good fun.
And you're getting to taste and explore all these incredible regions, which I think is super important to showcase to the end consumer that the world of whiskey is just exploded in the last 15 years. It's actually incredible to think how many new distilleries have come on board around so many, as you say, so many countries around the world. I guess with Woven, you obviously, can you talk a little bit about the name? I'm assuming Woven, weaving together, bringing people together. But what was that, I guess, foundation that you wanted to bring with that branding and with the name?
So we worked with a creative agency called Freitag Anderson, Daniel and Greg, who are based up in Oban and Glasgow, very early on. Duncan, Nick and I, we sort of put together a brief of Scotch whisky has done an incredible job over the last 60, 70 years of creating a brand image that's relatively guardrailed. It's got peerage, and it talks about the place and the heritage,
history and the provenance and everything very well. Yes, yeah.
But the way that we've consumed whiskey is very different from how the industry portrays itself.
Yeah.
We're normally in restaurants or with friends, and our friends are from the creative world, designers, fashion, perfume, music, whatever it might be. And the bottles that we bring out onto a table are relatively great in taste, but doesn't reflect the company that we're in. And so we wanted to create a brand that was genuinely contemporary, that spoke to us, was minimal in its aesthetics, and maximal in the levels you can go down into it. We take a lot of inspiration from third wave coffee, natural wine, craft brewing, fashion and textiles, and we wanted a brand that captured all of that. And Daniel and Greg worked really hard with us and kind of got it straight away. And they came up with the name Woven, and it suited us down to the ground, because what we do as whiskey blenders is we're weaving different whiskies together to create a fabric of a new whiskey, I suppose, to take it very literally. But then we think about it much deeper, where we're all woven. Woven is not us. Woven is the amazing team that we've been able to now build. It's the distillers that we work with. It's the designers that we work with. It's the bottlers. It's the Hollier company that brings us our whiskies. It's you sitting here and helping us be able to, spread it a little bit further. And we really do think that if you sort of do take a lens out, that we're all woven together. And I love that as a sort of a thing. Yeah. And so the word woven, I think, is the most beautiful word in the world. I really do. And the W on it is the Singer sewing machine stitch.
I wondered if it was to do with the sewing machine. Fantastic, that's beautiful. And as we can see, some beautiful packaging really stands out in the marketplace. Something quite different, as do the whiskies as well. So, very exciting times. Exciting for you. Are you obviously we won't delve into any new projects you can't talk about, but is there anything I would say that you're super excited about? You're keeping your eye on in terms of the world of whiskey. Any countries, any places, anything consumers should be looking to?
Countries, yes. I mean, geez Louise, I wasn't at it, but I saw some social media content recently from the guys judging at the IWSC Awards of the world category, and I saw whiskies from Myanmar, Nepal.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm going, yeah, I want that.
Yeah. Thailand, you can do your first Southeast Asia.
I would love that, I'm really interested at looking at smoke without peat.
Okay,
in one of our whiskies, Hemispheres, we use a New Zealand single malt that uses manuka wood to smoke its barley.
Yeah,
and that's
super interesting. Love what the guys out there do.
It's stunning. Thompson, Matt and Rachel, most incredible creatures on earth, but they also make the most beautiful whiskey, and being able to use that is wonderful. And I've recently come across a distillery in France that's using seaweed to smoke its barley, and I think
fascinating.
I think being able to use that without it becoming fishy, and it's much more sort of it's if you add salt to something acidic, then it softens it. So it does the same thing. I think that's a wonderful thing. And then in terms of what we're doing, we're focusing on experimentalism. We're not content with what whiskey is. We want to discover what whiskey can be. And so to do that, we have to think really hard about what we can do with whiskey. And so we've set up in the lab, we've got a series of experiments we run through the year to try and get a deeper understanding of what we can do, what works, what tastes great. And that goes into our production. It's not necessarily stuff that we shout about. But the ambition is to create better whiskey from it. We want to make the most yummy whiskey in the world. That's our ambition. That's what we want.
Yummy whiskey. That's a great phrase.
And so all of our work behind the scenes is to try and make the best whiskey that we can. And we think that blending is the only way to do that. Like if you think about it, as a distiller, you have constraints. Because you're working within a very set parameter. And that can make an incredible whiskey. But I always think, and I'm sorry, I'm now rambling, but I will. All of our whiskies are not based around a flavour profile. They're actually based around three principles that I try and think about only. The first one is texture. Flavour follows texture. I believe that a great whiskey should be soft rather than brittle, and that it should be round as opposed to sharp.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want in a whiskey. And then I want there to be a clarity. So clarity for me is to have a single note that you are able to identify. My vocabulary in whiskey is quite limited, actually. I don't have a great deep vocabulary and be able to go deep. but I want there to be a clarity in a whiskey that I make, so I'm able to say that one tastes a bit like this. And then the third piece is balance.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's very difficult at a distillation point of view to get balance.
Absolutely. Which is why so many blenders, even if you're making, a single malt whiskey, they're going to be blending casks together to get that balance. And that's what a lot of people don't always realize, is even a single malt is blended.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is.
It's just, it's making sure that balance is there. Because as you say, you can't just achieve that with,
and you can achieve that through blending. So that's kind of where we are.
Amazing. Well, I'm super excited to see everything that comes from Woven. I know you've got some exciting projects up your sleeve, which we will no doubt stay tuned to your socials to hear more about. Before we finish the podcast, Desert Island Rams, you obviously are around whiskey all the time, but when you're at that party with friends and you're opening a bottle, what's it going to be?
It's such a good question, and I think it's something I think about an abnormal amount. But I think that there is there's an optimum piece between value and quality, or quality is flavor and texture and nose and excitement and enjoyment and depth
yumminess,
and all those things, right? But then that's offset against the value of it.
Yes, yeah.
I've been very lucky to try some whiskies that I cannot ever afford, which is great. But I would say that for me, when I'm taking a bottle of whiskey to people that isn't Woven, then I take them a Bowmore 15.
You've got to be kidding me. I literally was going to say earlier when we were chatting about this, Bowmore 15.
Bowmore 15.
That is my
white label.
Absolutely one of my all-time Desert Island Rams. It's very funny. I feel like you've read my mind, Pete.
I think it's
slightly weird. You're right in my head.
I think you should buy for every bottle of Bowmore 15. You should buy 2 bottles of Woven. But
yes, absolutely. But
get a bottle.
I couldn't agree with you more. I rediscovered it in lockdown. And was like, I have forgotten how delicious this whiskey is.
And if you have it with Orange Starburst,
I have not. I have not had it with Orange Starburst.
Orange Starburst.
This is going to be my weekend.
So you do have to get a big pack of Starburst. The
multi-pack,
and pick out the orange ones.
Yeah.
But try that with a Bowmore 15, and that's life changing.
I am very excited for this opportunity. Amazing, Pete. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, talking more about Woven. It's a great brand, and you guys are doing really exciting things. So I look forward to seeing more.
No, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Great.